Has anyone seen the regional tire dump where all the tires go?
No.
It's a mountain. It's a mountain. They're everywhere. And every day there's more. Tires are like trees. They're everywhere. And we use them. We use them constantly. The cars, there's more cars than people on the planet. There's more tires than people on the planet. Because if there's more cars than people on the planet, there's 4 tires than every car. So this is an unlimited building source. And most of the time, if you don't go to the community and ask, because they'll make you pay, of course they'll make you pay, you'll get them for free. On my walk here, I saw 20 tires just lying about on the street. So why do I build it in the U shape? Now for this, I'm going to go into something different, a lot different. It's winter time right now, yes?
Yes.
Everybody's house is cold, right? How do we heat them?
With that.
How do we heat them? With heaters. Small electrical heaters we plug in, and then we pay the bill, and we don't have to worry about it.
No, I don't heat. Just
like me.
use only the computer.
But, for example, when I moved here, I live with my father and his wife. Now, she's a very cold person. She's always has a t-shirt on and shorts. And she always asks, can we put the heater on? And I always ask her, could you put some clothes on? It's winter time, grab a blanket. But sometimes it's colder than that. So how can we heat our rooms without having to plug in this little machine? Without it costing our pocket. So there's a very simple, what I'd like to call, life hack. Everybody knows what clay pots are, yes? Succeed. So I grabbed 2 sizes. I'm going to be able to explain how the Earthship heats itself and give you a way to heat your house all at the same time. So, how to heat your house for 10 studinki a day. So I have a big clay pot. They're roughly about this size. It has a hole here. This is used in gardening to let water out. We're going to repurpose that. Now on the inside, I have another clay pot. And this also has a little hole to let water out. But I'm going to cover this hole with aluminum foil. Thus closing this little hole. Now under this, I'm going to place candles. They're small little tea lights. You can find them in every store. You can buy a pack of them for €1, and you get about 50 of them. Now, oh, one last thing, an old cooking dish. A dirty one you can't use anymore, or one you just like to repurpose so you don't have to spend 3 lev a day heating your house, and instead you spend 10 studinki, 20 studinki. So what happens here? When I light these candles, something called convection happens. Can somebody translate convection for me?
Convection.
It's not that hard. People wonder why I speak Bulgarian. English with lip. So convection happens. Now these little candles, they're going to suck air into the spaces left by your cooking dish. And since your room is cold, this is cold air. Now this air this air that's now been heated by these little candles is going to want to rise. And where is it going to rise? It's going to rise into this small pot. Now, it can't get out. But we all know heat always wants to get out. So what's it going to do? It's going to fill up this, and thus the thermal mass of the clay pot will heat. And it's going to go back down. And then it's going to try to find another way to escape. So it's going to go this way. Now, what's happening here is the hot air is getting heated by the thermal mass and heating the outer thermal mass. So it's finally found a way out after it's been heated and reheated. Now the larger acts as your insulation, and this is your thermal mass. So this gets very hot, and if you try this at home, don't touch this. You will burn your skin off. This gets extremely, extremely hot. And so thus, superheated air is let out of the pot. Now I have this at home. You change the candles maybe once a day, if you're home all day. So how does this relate to the Earthship? Well, like we said, I've built my Earthship. I have an outer thermal mass of tires and dirt. The Earth itself is the best thermal mass you will ever have. There is none better. So I've left an opening for heat, for cold air to come in. And what's this going to want to do? It's going to do the same thing. It's going to want to escape. It's going to want to escape. It's going to want to escape. So how are we going to trap that? We can't wrap our houses in aluminum foil. It's just not sustainable. So here I'm going to place glass. So this heat comes in and it's stopped. And this heats the house. Now I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to make this as efficient as possible. I'm going to put a greenhouse in front. I'm heating my house, right? And as I have no electricity, I have no running water, at least as far as the community is concerned. So I need to make my own food. Well, this process of heating my house also gives food to my plants. And my plants act as a thermal barrier so that this heat that I've now trapped isn't released. This is sustainable, but how can we make it more sustainable? So I have my small pot, which is this. I'm going to build another large pot around my small pot to act as insulation. Thermal mass this is a very dense material of thermal mass. It absorbs heat. And it stores it because it's very densely compact. But then it'll then release it into the atmosphere, something called thermal dumping. This is when the temperature around the thermal mass is 3 to 4 degrees lower than the thermal mass. What happens then? The thermal mass releases its heat Heat always seeks cold. So how do we stop that from happening? We insulate it. Like I've insulated this, so that this heat can't escape. So I've insulated this. Here we have more earth. To insulate this. Now, the ground itself, if I dig below what's called the frost line, this is the topsoil that freezes in the wintertime. Now I dig 1 meter, 2 meters down, and I have 50 to 60 degrees forever. The earth does this without any energy input from us. The earth will always be 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Which scale? Which means?
Fahrenheit, which means, I believe it's roughly 20 to 30 degrees. Now this, so I have heat from the sun, and I have heat from the earth. So I have heat from above, heat from below. No electricity, no water needed, no energy other than everything the earth gives you. I've just constructed a way to trap this. So I'm no longer living in a refrigerator, I'm living in an oven. And this is always going to be warm. Now, can somebody tell me how much they pay a month to heat their home? Roughly.
Земен стар.
So that's 100 level. So far that we've saved in our pockets. What else does this structure allow? Now, I have heat, but I need light, right? So like this structure is kind of a square U, but it's still a U. And it has a big window up front. Now, imagine that there aren't buildings out front here. This would face sunrise, right?
Yes.
And so all the light I get from the sun, like I get my heat from the sun. Now the sun is going to give me light, and it's going to give me heat, and the heat is going to be stored. Now I can't store light, or can I? There's this little technology that people have been working with called solar panels. They're cheap. You can find them, for example, if you go to a gardening store. They have little pathway lights. Small, little, thin film solar panels on top. They're cheap. And they last for a long time. And you have a little solar panel. Now, if you have any experience with engineering, I can dismantle that little light and turn that into energy production. Very low energy production, but how much light do you need? Do you need the whole house to be lit at the same time? No. And these small little solar lights cost maybe, I know in euros, 2 euros. And they last for about 10 years. If kept nice, if cleaned right. And you're not using them in your garden, you're using them in your home. Or I can get a bigger scale solar panel. Now this is a bigger investment, which might take time, but hey, you're saving this much every month. They only cost around 200 to 300 level. There's nobody there, actually. As you can see him. So we've gone over heat, we've gone over electricity. Now, as, again, electricity, I can attract the sun, and I can store this energy. And I can store both of its energies. I can store its heat, and I can store its light. So, how much do we pay for electricity? A month, roughly.
150.
150 a month. Yeah.
Some people.
That puts our bill at $250 a month.
Oh no, I'm including
Oh,
the other one.
so that's $150 a month that we don't pay. Now, this little botanical cell, as we call them, this works all year, every day. Every day of the year, this grows me food. How much do we pay for food?
Depends
Depends on how you eat.
if you're a vegetarian or not.
Oh, if you're a vegetarian, this is perfect. But I can also keep chickens here. Chickens give me eggs. They heat my greenhouse. They eat the bugs that I don't have to take off. They give me more than one thing, and this is an important thing about permaculture. Show of hands, who knows what permaculture is? So, in permaculture, at least 3 uses. At least 3. So, we have about $450 a month that we're saving. That's a large part of our salary that we're giving to other people that build us refrigerators and throw us in them. People that try to fit more humans per square meter and then tax you for your survival. You have to pay for everything. You have to pay for paying for everything through tax. These people are out of their minds. So, I'm living in this Earthship, and I'm no longer paying for electricity. I'm no longer paying for heat. But what about when I go to the bathroom? If I have no hookup to water, what do I do with it? Well, there's 2 ways of going around this. So who knows what compost is? Which animal on the planet makes the best compost? We do. We are compost machines. You can see, when you go to the bathroom now, you go to one of these bathrooms, you're throwing all that away. All the nutrients, all the energy your body has spent to give back to the planet, which normally we would. But now it's going to some sewage place. And they dump this in rivers, they dump this in the ocean, pollute, instead of giving it back to the earth. So there's 2 ways I can go around this. I can have running water from the rain. We'll get into water a little bit later. Or I can have a compost toilet. Now this is a little strange for people because it's kind of a dirty job. Basically, it's a bucket with a nice chair on top and a hole cut out in the chair. And I throw in the cardboard I use. I throw in old paper. I throw in dried leaves or wood chips or straw. Any vegetable matter that is dried, I can throw in there. And this keeps a balance of the pH and nutrients, and it helps the anaerobic process start. So now, me going to the bathroom is giving food to my food. So I can do this through compost. I can build myself a little compost chamber. Say there's 4 to 5 people living there, you need a big spot to put all of this. 3 people going to the bathroom every day, that's roughly 2 kilos. Roughly. Or I can use that not only to feed my plants, I can use it for heat. Oh, how? How do I do this? Well, much as this same method, I have a steel trash can with a lid. And I throw everything in there. I throw all my old food, I throw my feces, I just throw everything. All of my trash. It'll eat it all. Now through the anaerobic process, does everybody know what anaerobic process is? Anaerobic process creates great heat. The company I work with, that I'm partnered with, the National Association for the Transfer of Technologies, they're building a technological park that these are big domes. Trash comes through one side, creates heat through the anaerobic process. This heat is recycled through it, creates more heat. This heat is harvested and used to power houses. They're producing methane here. So if I don't live in a forest, I need to cook, right? I mean, unless everybody goes to raw, which I hope everybody will. I need to cook my food. I can harvest that methane gas from this. I could hook myself a little tube up to this and hook it straight into a cooker. And now all of a sudden, I went to the bathroom, it's feeding my plants, it's heating my house, and it's letting me cook my food. That's 4 uses from going to the bathroom. People think of going to the bathroom as getting rid of something. But you're making something. You're making fertilizer, you're making heat, you're making gas. Second method, if I have water. So what is the best source of water?
Rain.
Rain. It comes from the sky. Right? How do I collect that? Well, I definitely don't build a roof like this. This won't collect rain. This will throw it over to the sides of my house. If I build a roof like this, now I have rain collection. Or if I build a roof like this, now I have even more efficient rain collection. It's as simple as hooking up a little tube there. And this fills a cistern. You would be surprised about how much water you can get from the sky. You see it on the streets as in big puddles. And it's flooded the streets and it's just pouring out and pouring out. But what if we collected all of it? Now outside of the city, outside of the smog, this water is clean. Clouds are the best water purifying agents on the planet. It's safe to drink. You can drink rainwater. I was raised in a very small community in the middle of the woods. I've never been to school, not one day in my life. The first time I saw a city, I was 14 years old. I was shocked. What are people doing? It's all right there. It's all just waiting. You have brain. I never went to school for any of this. I speak 6 languages. I'm self-taught. I'm a chef. I'm a sommelier. I'm a barman. All self-taught. We'll go into that a little bit later. So water. Now I have this water. Yeah. I'm not going to drink all of it. Some of it I'm going to use to wash my dishes. To wash myself. Right? So, where do I put that water afterwards? Well, it's not necessarily dirty. Right? It's just got a little dirt in it. It's not, I mean, I'm not going to drink it. But there's other things that might drink it. Plants, for example. So I've used my water to drink and to clean myself. And the waste from I've used my water to drink. And now, through what we call a gray water system. Now, as soon as I've washed myself with it, washed my dishes with it, it's loaded with nutrients. There's nutrients in your skin. Keratin is very, very rich in protein. Very rich in protein. And this is an oil on your skin, keratin. It's what keeps your skin soft and your hair soft. And there's nutrients in the food from, well, I've thrown most of my food, all of my scraps, into the compost. But what about what's left on the dishes? This is still nutrients. We won't compost it, we'll just give it directly to the plants. The plants love this. They love it. Absolutely love it. So I've used my water twice. Now these plants, not only will they drink it, they will clean it again for me. So now I have clean water again. Clean water. The roots in these systems, they'll eat the bacteria, macrophages, viruses. Pick all this up. Now I might not drink that water, but I can still use it to wash my dishes, right? But let's say the water gets really dirty, and the plants, they're full. They don't want any more. I send that to another system. Now from gray water, it becomes black water. Now after I've used the gray water, I can use it to flush my toilet. If we all like the nice porcelain seat, push a button, the water takes it all away, we don't have to think about it anymore, right? So that goes into, here's my Earthship. Here's my greenhouse. I have a small botanical cell. Everybody understands botanical cell? No. Okay. Does everybody know what botanic is?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. A cell is an enclosed entity. Click. Yes. So I have one for my gray water. That cleans it and sends it back to my dishes or to my toilet. And it receives it from my shower or from my sink as I wash my dishes. And I have a black water cell. And the black water cell is in two phases. You have one inside and you have one outside. Now you'd be surprised what plants like everything you give to your toilet. I can grow bananas. I can grow bananas all year from going to the toilet. I can grow papayas and kiwis and pineapples just because I went to the toilet and I've been collecting rainwater. And I've placed my plants in this little glass dome which serves me, serves them, serves the plant. So the black water that I don't use, that it's no longer recyclable through the system, things are exhausted, I just send outside. I don't have to plant anything there. The plants will come. You give plants nutrients, they'll be there. And you'll be amazed at the oasis you create. The little Garden of Eden outside your front door. Why? Because you went to the toilet. Simple as that. So, I'm not sure, it works in different countries. We pay for water here, yes? How much do we pay a month?
10
20, 30.
20.
to 20.
So, we can roughly bring our bill up to 480 a month. So now in a couple months I have a solar panel. It was hard the first couple of months. I didn't necessarily have any light, but I had candles for my heater. And candles are very efficient at making light. We did it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, if not thousands. So the first couple of months it was a little rough. But now I have a solar panel. And because I don't use a lot of light to begin with, I don't use a lot of electricity, Now I'm making more surplus, more than I need. This food cell will make you more than you need. You'll have more water than you need. Not only is it free, it's carbon negative. So there's a big discussion about CO2. People know this as the greenhouse effect. Well, because if you're in the greenhouse, you will have large amounts of CO2. It's what plants eat. They eat CO2, and they go to the bathroom giving oxygen for us. So, we've gone over heating, electricity, water, and food. And I'm doing this with tires, with old bottles, old cans, mud, dirt. It may not seem like the house is going to look that good. I mean, you're building it out of trash and mud. But anybody that has internet, go home and look at Earthship. See what you find. They look really good. They're a little offbeat. They're not square. They're not extremely tall. But they do the job. They're aesthetic. So, if I have a self-sustaining system that gives surplus, so not only does it sustain, it produces. Now, if I have a neighbor who also has a self-sustaining house and also produces, that's more sustainability, more production. That's what we call synergy. Has anybody ever heard of synergy? Roughly put, it's 2 plus 2 equals 5. When you have self-sustaining units, and you add more, and add more, and add more, you only have more surplus. So what do you do with this surplus? Well, who here knows a homeless person?
Say that again?
Who here knows a homeless person?
A home.
Who here knows somebody that can't buy food? Who lives on the street in winter? We can provide for ourselves and for everybody around us using trash and going to the bathroom and collecting rainwater. We've also saved 480 left. Now the real question is, if you have heating, electricity, water, and food, why are you still working? Why do you need money? Okay, you need a small amount of money, yes? Small. But the garden up front here, it produces organic, high-quality, heirloom food. With a little bit of learning, a little bit of knowledge, I can turn that food to buy me things like doorknobs or small things around the house that I need to replace, wine, etc. Which is sustainability. Because I have this production, I have more sustainability. So, you don't need a job. You really don't. But, okay, so the question is, I don't have any land. Where am I going to build this Earthship? Okay. Well, you can't do it by yourself, can you? Most people can't. Depends on how you work. But me, I can buy a forest. I am buying a forest, actually, next month in the Plowdiv's Mountains. It's going to cost me 1,000 euros. It's 2,000 now, roughly. That's 10,000 square meters. Now, I'm horrible at math because I never went to school. But I'm pretty sure I can fit a lot of things there. A lot of them. And the more I place, the more I get. So I'm building a community. This is why I'm here in Bulgaria. I'm building a community and I'm inviting everybody. Everybody knows what that means, right? Exodus. Why are we paying to pay? Why is the only free thing smog and toxins in our water and in our food? Why do we still pay? Because it's comfortable. That's why. Because this takes a little bit of roughness. It takes a little bit of sweat and dirt and hard work. You know how we fill the tires? With this and a sledgehammer. And there's 700 of them. You will be very tired, but hey, you have heating, electricity, water, and food for that effort. Instead of sitting at a desk, I use my hands. Instead of buying my food, I can make my food. I don't need them to give me water. The sky gives me water. I don't need them to give me light. The sun gives me light and heat. And it's simple. So you can't afford land yourself, right? You have friends. Friends that have jobs. Friends that pay to pay. Friends that have children. I'm not even going to touch that. So, community, a tribe, belonging to a place and belonging to a people. Say I have 10 friends, and they can all put 100 euros. I have 10,000 square meters. That's more than enough for me to live off of, for all my friends to live off. We can invite people for free. Hey, we built you a house. Build you a house that's going to give you food for the rest of your life. Electricity and water and heat. And it's not going to cost you anything. But why would we do this? Well, cities, they teach us ego. Communities, villages, they teach us eco. A man draws a circle around himself. And in that circle, he places the people he loves. His children, his wife, his mother, his father. And we'll do everything to keep this circle safe. What if we draw a bigger circle around ourselves? What if my circle includes everybody? I have the means to produce more than I need. Now in a community, in an eco-village, there's no greed. We share. We'll take a break for now and take some questions. Questions, anybody? Even in Bulgarian, говорим малко на български. Да, да. Ами чат пат говорим, ще би.
So if you're buying this forest, you are going to make a community there?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You need any helpers?
Oh, yes.
'Cause I'm not-
Everyone's invited.
Yes, I know, but I have a friend from the UK who was looking for that for a long time ago.
Is your friend's name John?
No.
I was in a bar recently. not to interrupt, but I was in a bar recently and I was having a beer, and it's Apartment 101. Has anybody seen the smoking terrace?
Yes.
It's about big. So here I am, just trying to smoke my cigarette, drink my beer on this little terrace, and it starts to fill up with people. And some of the guys had dreadlocks, and there was this girl with pink hair and a raspberry beret. Don't know if there's any Prince fans here. That's a good song for me. And so they're friendly, and I continue just smoking my cigarette, kind of listening, enjoying the fact that everybody's so tightly packed. I had somebody here, somebody here, somebody here. I wasn't going to leave. I didn't want to cause any problems. So John, this guy from England, he puts his hand up. And he says, "Hi, I'm John. What's your name?" And I say, "Well, I'm Nate. Nice to meet you, man. It's good to be able to speak English with somebody." So it turns out that, okay, well, let's get a little backstory on that. I came here to open a restaurant with my father. My father's a 3-star chef. He's Michelin, he's wet. He does his job very well. I learned from him. And when I came here, like most every time I find my father in a bed of snakes. People that were going to use his talent and throw it away. So I caused problems in the restaurant. I caused problems with his partners. He's not opening the restaurant anymore. He's sad about that. But I can't stand by and watch him pay to pay. So that same night that I got into an argument with his partners, because I didn't like the way they were treating him, the way they would see his talent, the way they were trying to turn a hot cuisine restaurant into a krčma. And so we went out for a beer, and that's how I wound up on this little terrace. Now John came here to build an Earthship. I didn't know John before, but John came here to build an Earthship. Not only that, John knows a couple millionaires back in England that would really love to invest in a community project. So here I am, shocked at the serendipity and the synchronicity, and it goes deeper. It goes a lot deeper. So the girl with the red hair and the raspberry beret was standing here, John's here. I can see, she's like, "Oh, why are there eco-villages and these cows is named Plowfield?" It turns out she's a reporter for Capana, and she wants to write my story. That's how I got here. Thank God I didn't open that restaurant, right? So, questions? My little tragic story.
I wanted to ask about the roof. How can you make the roof?
How can we make the roof?
From what materials, for example?
Yeah, so there's a couple of materials we can use. We can use mud. It's not the best at collecting water. The water's kind of dirty. So if you go to the local trash, the local recycling center, somewhere close to the mountain of tires is a mountain of washing machines, refrigerators, dryers, other appliances. And these appliances have something very, very nice. Sheet metal. Chunks of sheet metal. That with a little hard work, again, I can harvest. They'll let me do this for free. They don't care. It's just more time and money and energy that they have to spend recycling. You'll take that off their hands? Excellent. So I have my house. I've built my structure. Does everybody know what shipping pallets are? But you'll find a pile of them as well. Now these cost a little bit of money, but if you explain a little bit to the recycling company about what you're doing and how you will always need these, because if you always have surplus, just keep building. You have the materials, they're everywhere. Most of it's free. But even if you have to pay for a little bit, it just adds a little more to this price. So shipping pallets are wood. Good wood. Extremely good wood. It's been treated for mold. I mean, it's not the best ecologically, but It's already there. It's already, most of the work is done. You didn't have to cut a tree down. And trust me, I've done that. I've turned a tree into pieces of wood this big. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of energy. So, shipping pallets, this is how I make my frame. And on top of that frame, I take the sheet metal that I harvested from washers, dryers, refrigerators, and I use nature's design so the top of my house looks like a lizard, but it harvests clean water. That metal is baked on enamel. This roof will last through your whole life. So not only am I recycling bottles and cans and tires, recycling appliances, I'm recycling shipping pallets. The more trash they produce, the better it is for us.
How big a greenhouse you need to sustain, for example,
How many people?
2 people or 4 people?
2 people? I'd say roughly 2 meters by 5. Because when you think of gardening, what do you think? Normally people think, it's a little busy here. When people think of gardening and farming, they think, okay, I've got land and I'll put plants in it. And well, there's only so much plants I can fit in a space. But what about the walls? Plants don't have to grow this way. They grow perfectly fine this way. So what can I do else? What else can I do with shipping pallets? Shipping pallets, they have a unique design. So by removing this piece of wood from the front of the pallet and putting it under, we all know pallets, they have a space in between. If I put that wood under that, right? Now I have a growing space. I have a lot of growing space. I can, in one pallet, I can plant roughly 18 tomato plants. In one pallet. I can go as high as I want with these pallets. So now everything's alive. I'm growing on the walls. I'm growing on the floor. I'm growing in levels. So you don't need a lot of space. You'd be surprised at how little space you need. If you have a terrace here, you can already start growing most of your own food. It's easy to harvest rainwater in no bottle. And some dirt, it's kind of everywhere. And coffee. Who here drinks coffee? Who here drinks coffee from coffee grounds? No? Coffee grounds, the ground that's left in the coffee pot after it's all dripped through, that's nitrogen. It's pure nitrogen. Plants love nitrogen. I can recycle my coffee grounds into my earth, and my plants love it. Love it. More questions?
Can we just have you on Facebook and just keep watching the progress?
Yes, you can. Everybody read that. Organic ziggurat.
Yeah, I think I just saw your profile these days, amongst.
This is where I'm posting the progress for my project.
So you actually have an Earthship here?
No,
No.
yet.
Not
No,
yet. So you're building it?
No, necessarily I'm not going to build an Earthship. No, Mike Reynolds, he's a smart guy. He's been working on it for 40 years. Not a lot of progress there, though. Now, after the break, we're going to talk about bioshelters from the New Alchemy Institute and how they integrate permaculture, and how I'm going to take the bioshelter the Earthship and permaculture and combine them into one structure.
No, I'm asking because, so you're now living in a refrigerator?
I'm now living in a refrigerator, yes, but I'm heating it for 20 students a day.
Yeah, fine. No, I ask because if you're going to make that community in the forest,
Yes, ma'am.
and then, you know, I have people that want to come here in Bulgaria. My friend, he's not in Bulgaria, he's based in the UK. But if he comes, will he have somewhere to live?
Yes,
That's why I-
yes. Not only will I have somewhere to live, I'll have somehow to make an impact. Because along with my organic ziggurat community, I'm building a company called Foreign Agents of Change.
Mhm. Foreign agents.
Foreign Agents of Change.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is to get knowledgeable, skilled people that I've met from a lifetime of traveling. Just next month, I have my treehouse designer from France. It's a little out there, but it's too much wine. Wrong crowd to say that to. And I have an Earthship builder from Germany, a wildcrafter. I don't know if anybody knows what wildcrafting is. It's getting food from the forest, not growing it. He's also from Germany. I have a couple of beekeepers, which is going to be the main thing. Bees. We're going to do that after the break. So yes, he will have a place to stay. As long as he's willing to give back to everything.
Yeah.
Give back to
He wants
nature, give
actually
back
to
to the
learn
people.
how to make all this stuff.
We will offer that. In January you can come and you can see an Earthship. And you can learn how to build them. If there's a space, you can even just build it. I'm not buying land. I'm paying ransom. Does everybody know what ransom is? How is it? Well, so they've taken it, and now they're going to make me pay for it. Of course they're going to make me pay for it. They need to pay for everything. So I'm paying the ransom to free that land again. It's not going to be mine. It's not going to be the company's. It's going to be land. Any more questions before we take a break?
Let's take
Into the cage and the zoo, the urban jungle. Well, we can start a really long time ago to look at this. Nomads, hunters and gatherers. In a hunter-gatherer society, there's no possession. This isn't mine, this is ours. Now, somewhere along the line, these hunter and gatherers, they found a cave. It's a permanent place to be. A sustainable home in itself. Very old school. They didn't have electricity or anything like that. So now, from hunter and gatherer nomads, we have people which gathered resources sustainably from small places, here and there, along their trail. Now we have people staying in one place. Now the cave is sustainable, but it involves a lot of health problems. So the best thing to do, and now we started looking at animals. Animals, some of them are nomads, but most of them aren't. Most of them build their homes. How do they do this? They dig underground. They collect little pieces of plant and make a beehive. They collect pieces from nature and they make a nest. So we started doing this as well. We started building our structures. Now this came with a sense of ownership. Because now, what about all these other hunter and gatherers? Now that I can't hunt and gather, I grow my food, right? But what about these hunter and gatherers? They have no sense of, you built this, this is yours. You grow this, this is yours. This is everybody's, right? So that came possession. Now this isn't everybody's. This is ours. Nobody outside this room can own this pen because it's just ours. If somebody tries to steal that, well, what do? You need this to survive. You need this to feed your kids, right? So we started creating fights and wars to protect what's ours. To not have to share with people. So how do we do that best? Now, from these small little places, we started to place walls, big walls around it, with armed men defending it. And the houses got bigger, and the system's more complex. And well, when you have a bunch of people living in one place, everybody can't farm, it's going to be a mess. So we need farmers, and we need people that take care of the food after that, people that cook it, people that clean it. We need people to build more houses. And these people can't farm and build houses. So how do we go about that? Well, monetary system. Now all of a sudden we have money. And that the merchant or the trader that trades with the other tribe or the guy that builds houses, he can pay for the vegetables to the farmer. And this got bigger and bigger, and the houses got more complex, and the money got more dependent and dependent and dependent, until here we are, paying for everything but smog. In cities where there's no more tribe, there's very little community. There's a lot of ego, a lot of, this is my house, it's my pen, it's mine. We won't let strangers into our house. You have all of your things in that house. Those are all of your possessions, they might take that. This is a very old trick that came along. It was a natural trick. Nobody had some evil intent to say, let's create possession so we can create the system. This system happened naturally. And then there were people that decided, well, I don't really have to do anything except handle money to make it, to print it, etc., etc. Let's get banks, which furthered this money system. But all of this is leading to the Earthship, building out of their trash, their waste, not needing money. We can go back, way back, to the first little caves we started living in. Very easily. We'll use money to get there, very little, but you're using money to get free from money. You're not using money to get more money. Now there's an instinct, it's called a biosurvival instinct. It's back here in the old brain, the mammalian brain. This instinct tells you to hunt and provide for your young. It's more in us, men, than it is in females, this instinct. I'm not saying that the females don't have, the females have one of the strongest instincts to provide for their children, but man has the instinct to provide for you and your child. And this is very strong. This is why when you see, who runs the world right now?
Women.
No,
kids.
Limited liability societies around the world now.
And who created this? Men. Now it's just recently.
Artificial persons.
It's just recently that women can vote. Or that it's just recently in the history of humanity that women aren't the property of their husband.
And some areas there still are.
Sharia law says I can beat my sister to death in the street if she dishonors my family. That's gotta go. But step by step.
Yeah.
Step by step. So we started agriculture. And it was sustainable back then because we planted a bunch of stuff everywhere. But cities grew. They grew into these monstrous places. These zoos where you had to feed a lot of people. So you need a lot of one thing in one field, right? So now if you look around at the fields, there's just endless fields of sunflowers or endless fields of wheat. This is killing the earth below it. It's not giving anything back. It's one plant that taxes the earth for the same nutrients over and over again until there are no nutrients anymore and the land is left raped. There's no topsoil anymore. It's just been leached. We can fix that with compost, biomass, biodynamic gardening, and well, through biodynamic gardening, which is, sorry if I can't stand, my leg's a little car accident, got hit by a car a couple years. So by placing one plant that needs nitrogen and plants that give nitrogen. Like this. We create biodynamic garden. Now we take this further. These plants, not only they produce nitrogen, permaculture, keep in mind, so at least they produce nitrogen, they produce food, they produce high biomass. Like let's take wheat for example. Out of the whole wheat plant,
Nate, use a red marker.
Blue one.
green. So out of the whole wheat plant, I will only use a small percent of this to make flour, to make harvest grains. And most grains I only use this small piece. But that leaves me with the rest of this, which is a high biomass crop. So that biomass goes back into this small piece of land, thus making it richer in nutrients, in sulfates, etc., etc. So high biomass, high protein, because I'm feeding myself with this. So with this model, you can sustainably grow both in the same place forever, because what are you doing? You're returning the biomass back to the soil. So not only can I grow this, it'll only get better. Every year, I will have 100% more fertility. I'm no longer taxing the land by placing one crop in a field, and as much as I can, like they're trying to put humans in cities as much as they can. Now I'm placing different crops. They call this interplanting, companion planting. There's a lot of different names in it in horticulture. But this boosts fertility. It boosts my fertility, the ground's fertility. It's surplus. Again, synergy. So I can take land and I can do what they call bioremediation. To remediate something is to return it back to a fertile, healthy state. There's a lot of plants that act as bioremediators. The best is hemp. Hemp, it aerates the soil. If I plant a crop of corn, the next year I plant a crop of hemp. Now what hemp does, it aerates the soil, and because it's so thick, no weeds will grow under it. And it also leaves a lot of nutrients like potassium and sulfates. And one really special thing, and they're using this in, I don't know if anybody knows about Chernobyl. They're beginning to plant hemp there. Because why? Because hemp eats radiation and neutralizes it. Now, hemp is a pretty wonderful plant because it gives me everything I need. I don't need to grow anything else but hemp. Just plants that help hemp grow. Now that's a lot of nitrogen. Now there's a berry, it's called bog myrtle. And it releases a lot of nitrogen into the soil, and hemp requires a lot of nitrogen to grow. So out of hemp I can make my clothes, I can make my house. I can make my house, and my house will eat carbon because of what they call hempcrete. It's not concrete, it's hempcrete. And that's hemp material, husks, mixed with lime. How do you, lime? No, lime is a mineral. They use it in concrete. It's what will harden the structure.
The gray or the white stuff?
White.
White or gray?
White.
So it's what?
And so if I build my walls out of that, not only will it eat any radiation in the area, it will eat bad carbon, it will take in moisture so my house isn't damp because I'm kind of building it underground. It will absorb moisture when it's too humid, and it will release it when it's not humid enough. It will regulate the temperature inside my house. Now I can eat hemp. It has all of my amino acids, high in protein, rich in fiber. I can wear hemp. Hemp clothes last, this shirt will probably last another 5 years before I throw it away. I'm never going to throw it away. I'm just going to use it for something else, actually. Most of my clothes go to rugs. If I cut this shirt into strips, I know how fabric to weave into rugs, table covers. No need to throw it away. A lot of energy and time went into this. Somebody spent time into doing this. Why just throw it away? And in the end, that table cover is going to get old and dirty, and what am I going to do? I'm going to toss it in my compost pile. I'm going to feed my plants with it. But I can eat hemp, I can wear hemp, I can burn hemp oil for fuel in lanterns as lamps for light and heat. It's kind of a wonderful plant, and the really, I don't want to suggest anything illegal to somebody here, God forbid, but I went on a drive recently, just looking at land, talking to landowners and something, and I was driving down this road. I wasn't driving, I don't drive. I was being driven down this road, and I looked towards the side of the road, and my mind doesn't recognize it at first, but it's hemp. Lots of it. There's so much of it, and it's for kilometers and kilometers and kilometers it goes on, and there's just a row of hemp just growing there. So it's there. It grows wild here. Out in the mountains I've found patches and meadows of it. Just growing wild. And that's basically everything you need to eat, wear, feed yourself, and build with. That's sustainability. That's permaculture. The plant is permaculture. So we spoke a little bit about biosurvival, this part of our brain. Now there's a recent part of our brain for our history, and it's this part. And this part contains little things called mirror neutrons. And this, if you see me drinking coffee, you all just drank coffee with me, at least in your mind. Now they studied this in Parma, in a very small laboratory in Italy. And they were trying to see what happens when a monkey does something. So they had this monkey on this MRI scan, and they were watching him open nuts, and which neurons in his brain fired, to try to understand the human brain. Now by accident, one of the scientists walks in, just got to work, oh hey, there's a bowl of nuts, I'm a little hungry. I'll open one. And you see what the monkey did, he was like shocked. Who is this guy that just walked in and took my nuts? And so the scientist opens the nut. And what they saw on the monkey's MRI scan was the exact same neurons that fired when he was opening the nut. So how does this connect with us? If I see somebody sick, or if I see somebody with a spider crawling up their arm, you know how everybody gets the tingles when you see a spider crawling up somebody's arm? Or if I see somebody in need, if I see somebody hungry, if I see somebody cold, my body feels the same thing, my brain feels the same thing. We are empathetic beings. We're not made for narcissism or egotistical ways of living. And this is what the cities, they breed this. Look at advertising. Look at it from a perspective of ego and narcissism. Next time you see any ad, any advertisement. Look at what they're trying to get you to think, how they're trying to get you to think. So we need to create an empathetic society. Something that capitalizes on that teaches children that that's why you're scared when everybody else is scared. That's why you're happy when you see somebody smile. It's because of this empathy, this newer part of our brain. Yeah, the prefrontal cortex is what it's called. And so, eco-villages. These are empathetic societies. There's a site that I would like everybody to look at if they have internet when they get home. And it's G?
G.
G, yes? Ecosolo.org. This is in Bulgarian, or in English, it's in both. There's my sheet. I knew this sheet. So Ecosolo, this has a lot of information about Earthship, sustainable living, permaculture, and it's all in Bulgarian. Now, something up and coming also, there's a group in Sofia, and they're called Perma-based Bulgaria. So they use a different kind of building technique, and they're going to build a small village, or they're going to build a lot of small villages. Now they hold meetings every week in Sofia. You can look them up on Facebook, you'll find them. And so they're using earth bags, which is another really nice way to build. Take earth, put it in a bag, close the bag, you have a brick. Simple as that. Now, it doesn't come along with a lot of systems of the Earthship, it's a little bit rougher living. But they're creating a permaculture village and permaculture festivals. And they're going to start very soon with this. And they have meetings every week in Sofia if anybody wants to go learn actively from somebody that can explain better in Bulgarian than I can. For people that read English, pioneerthinking.com. This will teach you how to make your own dyes. Naturalna boya? Was it? To dye your clothes. Now, this is very important for everybody. Who here on their windows has white drapes? White drapes? How many people have white as the things that cover them? White reflects heat and reflects light. Dye them dark. Get blackberry juice. Soak them in salt water and then simmer them in the blackberry juice or grape juice or raspberry juice, and they'll become dark. And now they will store heat. They will absorb the heat and the light. And this warms your house even more. Combine that with that little terracotta pot trick. And I always spoke about the plastic beer bottles outside, and you can throw your heater away. Don't throw it away. Take it apart. See what you can use.
Yes, but now is the winter and it's cold, but then comes the August and then it's hot here.
Very true. Why do you won't have to heat your house with the little candles when it's hot?
I mean this for the
Curtains,
maybe you change in the winter and
Have two pairs.
Yes, yes.
Have a winter pair and have
a summer pair.
It's perma-based festivals, Bulgaria?
yes.
Okay.
And also on Pioneer Thinking, it'll teach you a little bit about beekeeping, a little bit about raising your own goats, raising your own sheep, making your own candles, making your own clothes, a little bit of everything about the simple life, on how to live easier. And I suggest that everybody, I'm translating the material into Bulgarian, but that everybody looks up Earthships. And everybody looks up bioshelters. It's very important because Michael Reynolds got the idea from the New Alchemy Institute. They're now called the Green Center. And they worked out of Maine, and they were the first people to think, well, why can't we just live in greenhouses? And we have food all year round. It's always hot in a greenhouse. You don't have to worry about eating it. Plants do that. And so bioshelters and earthships. And then start contacting people about buying land together. About not having to pay anymore. Why are we paying? Why do we have to get rich, make rich people richer? Because we think we're making money, but we're not. They're making money off of us making money. So all of these little things, it'll be a little tough, you'll have to save, pinch pennies, but hey, just by not having to heat your place, you're already saving quite a lot of money. By maximizing, if you have a window, there should be something growing in it. You can collect the water from the rain if you're worried about the extra water that you have to buy or pay for. It rains a lot, especially this year it rained too much. So that'll cut the bills on having to buy your own food. So start contacting people. You about 10 people to give 200 leva. It's easy to save. It'll take a couple months. You don't have the restrictions that I have as a foreigner to buy the land. It's facilitated for Bulgarians. No, but this means giving up comfort. This means having to work for it, or if you want something, having to make it. If you want flour, you grow the wheat. You've carved the stone to grind it, and now you have flour. But before that, you had to make compost. You had to garden it. It had to be the right season. You have to learn a lot of things. Things that I was taught when I was about this tall. Like I said, I didn't see a city before 14. That was my school. My school was waking up and eating. And well, I was with a bunch of little girls, so for little boys it's hard to hang out with little girls. So most of the time I was in the trees, reading books. There's a book about everything nowadays. Everything. There's a book about it. Somebody translated their ideas onto paper. And that's a gift. Knowledge is a gift. We need to use this. Don't let them tell you what you need to know. Software informatics. Who cares? If I can grow my own food and harvest the sun and the rain, why do I need the internet? Why do I need TVs? So try. If you're interested, try. Just for a couple months, see how it goes. You can always come back to the city. They'll welcome you with open arms. What? You'll make us money? Come. Come. But if not, if you don't want to come back and it does work, you'll be free. Free from your job, free from taxes, free from having to pay to be able to make money. Just be able to make money. So you can pay some more. It's simple. It's not that hard. It seems hard, but it's not. It's easy things, natural things. We have this in our brains. It's stored for thousands and thousands of years. We've had this, and we've been doing this. It's only recently that we've started these urban jungles, these concrete zoos, where humans are kept in little slots and boxes stacked on top of each other. We don't need it. You might have to give up your car. You have to give up TV, internet, movies, music that you don't make. But what you'll be gaining is so much more than this illusion. You'll be independent, self-reliant. You'll belong to a place and you'll belong to a people again. We lost the tribe somewhere. And now humanity is depraved. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Humans have turned into sick, insane people. Egotistical and narcissistic. That's because they don't have a tribe anymore. Their circle is about yo big. So I'm asking you guys to draw a bigger circle. Include people. Help people. Make it hard on yourself. Don't just give in for comfort. It's boring, isn't it? Sit around, there's nothing to do. What am I going to do? Well, I can go spend some money somewhere. That's not fun. It's not fun
No,
at
I mean,
all.
come on, it's not that simple. I think comfort is, in a great extent, it's kind of like a substitute for art, because you can be self-sustainable, then why did that industry, culture, and everything develop to this stage? Of course, that's not the right direction, because you need something else than, you know, food, water, and all that stuff, so you come up with art. That what makes you human, and that at some point it went wrong because it came to this. Because you don't make your own stuff anymore. Everything comes ready, so that's why you need the TV and all of that stuff, because you need to substitute the emptiness with something.
This is what I'm saying.
But then, yeah,
But if you're making everything you have, if you have to grow your own food, you really don't have time to watch TV. Trust me, I've been
I don't know, sing, write
and dance
music,
and
I don't know.
festivals. I mean, when the sun goes down, it's kind of, well, we can't do much farming. So what did we? I lived on an eco village in Malta. What did we do? We sat around the campfire. We played drums. We painted our faces and danced. We made the paint from flowers, by the way. Squished some flowers up. You got paint. And we danced around. It was the best time of my life. Then there was 700 people living in the closest town to me. There's not much more out there. I grew up in a place. Does anybody know what the Ku Klux Klan is?
Mm-hmm.
That was born 5 minutes from where I was born. I grew up with a lot of seclusion and a lot of racism and a lot of religious bigotry, piousness. I've seen, I think, the most of man's depravity. Luckily for me, the forest around where I'm from, it's called the sticks. And getting lost in the sticks is another term for dying, because you will get lost in there. They're thin trees, about yo big, about yo apart. It all looks the same. It goes on for miles. So I had this kind of as a barrier to this supremacy, this racism. But whenever I took the off chance and found an asphalt road, there were signs that said, if you're black, don't come back. Crosses burning in neighbors' yards. Why? Because they were Native American. Because that was their home, and the people that took it didn't like that. So they're going to burn a cross to show their Christianity. I've grown up with, I've seen the insanity. And then I saw cities. And that multiplied. But we can go back. I've also done that since I saw cities. I've also gone back, and I've kept going back. And every time I do, the more sure I am that everybody in this room would love it. Love it. To be able to find what you're actually good at, then not have a select list. To find how you want to live, to be free. Free to love how you want to love. Free to dress how you want to dress, or not dress. Free to think what you want to think, without being looked at like, this guy's crazy, what the hell is he talking about? It's a simple life. But it's worth it. And it's not just helping ourselves. It's helping everybody, helping the planet. They estimate if we don't get away from cities in the next 15 years, it's going to be a rapid decline in all systems. Since we started monocropping and spraying with fungicides, the global population of bees has gone down 60%. 60%. When bees go, they're taking us all with them. Anything that requires pollination will go. So, raising bees.
Yes. We have already big hives. All of them started by catch swarms. So it's working.
Do you raise your own queens?
Oh, they raise their own queens. I don't raise them. Okay, like every beehive swarms approximately every 3 years, and sometimes they change their queen when she's too old, and sometimes she swarms. Depends.
Sustainable apiaries. A guy named Mike Palmer from Connecticut, I believe, in America, he gives a talk on local on what's called the honey show, and he tells you how to be a sustainable apiary, raise your own bees, split your colonies for wintering in nucleus colonies, increase, and this is a part of my project is exactly this. Bulgaria produces 5,000 to 7,000 tons of honey. 1/3 of that is organic, and most of it goes to export. My project, part of it is to raise that to 20,000, to 2/3 organic, and only a small percent of it to export. Now, some interesting things about honey, just some real quick, simple life hacks again. If you get burnt or cut, put honey on it. It'll heal 3 times faster than anything else. Just put honey. That's all you need. Honey. You can put cinnamon on it too. Cinnamon on top of the honey, that works as an astringent. That will close your wound, sanitize it. Honey is what bees use to sanitize their hive. One of the reasons. One of the ways. It's the best. It's nature's sanitary equipment. It's honey. You don't need that much for it. Just spread a little bit on a cut. I don't want to suggest this to anybody, but I've actually tested it. I've cut myself twice. Put honey on one and not on the other. It's a lot faster with the honey. But cities, they'll tell you that there's no proven test that honey's healthy for you. Food corporations, etc. They'll tell you that they have no proof that honey's good for you. We know it is. So one of the questions that comes up a lot is, oh, what if I get hurt? What if I need medicine? There's an old Navajo saying, it's everything on this planet has a use. Everything that grows, especially the toxic things. Especially what you think kills you. You're just not using it right. There's a cure for everything, and it grows. And they've been doing this for hundreds of years. You don't need medicines and pharmaceutical companies. You need your hands, earth and compost, seeds. You can grow your own herbs. I don't need aspirin, I can grow a willow tree. It's as simple as cutting a little bark off and putting it in some hot water. There's my aspirin. That's how they got aspirin. It's because the Native Americans used willow tree bark for headaches, for pain relief. Some white man came and said, ooh, I can do even better. I can make it without the tree. But all you really need is the tree. Test it and prove. When I get a headache, I walk around town, find some willow bark, take it home, make some tea, it's gone.
From the cities? Isn't it a bit dirty?
Yeah. But you can't be too clean.
Yeah.
You can't be too clean. You can't try to sanitize everything and keep everything clean. You need to be dirty. Things need to be dirty.
You need to boost your immune system.
More questions?
Can you say more about this bioshelter? Like, what is it? Like, you make houses like
So,
the Earthship, or
well,
they use other way?
the Earthship evolved from the bioshelter. Now, these guys, they thought, okay, how are we going to build a greenhouse that we can live in? So they basically built a structure that was.
Do they use the tires again, or no?
This was Michael, Mike Reynolds. He started by using his old beer cans and making a honeycomb structure in cement. And after 40 years, he evolved that further and further. But the bioshelter by the new Alchemy Institute, which you'll now find as Green Center, if you go looking. What they did is they built thin houses, 1 room, 2 stories, large greenhouse in front. Now the greenhouse provided them with the heat they needed. Now they emphasized a lot on aquaponics. Everybody know what aquaponics is? So in an aquaponic system, I'm growing fish inside the water, and I'm growing lettuce and baby spinach on top of the water. Now you can take that even further, and you have your aquaponic tank. Here's your fish. It's a very crude fish, not much of an artist. On top you have your lettuce, and on the bottom you have shrimp. So what happens here? The lettuce eats the nitrogen that the fish give off, and give back organic matter to the fish to eat. The fish waste is also eaten by the shrimp. Down below. And anything you don't eat of the shrimp, the shells, the legs, the tails, etc., you dry in a solar oven, which is simply a piece of glass or plastic, a piece of wood that doesn't reach the end, and a piece of wood that doesn't reach the end on legs. Direct sunlight, at least 8 hours a day. And here you have convection, which dries the shrimp. Now I can use this, if I go collect tires from an old automobile place, I'll ask them for a piece of glass also. And I will build it out of shipping pallets. So it's all 100% recycled. Now, I take this shrimp waste and I give it back to the fish, which is nutrients for the fish, which is nutrients for the plant, which is nutrients for me. But what they also used this for was thermal mass. Like we were talking about the beer bottles, water is one of the best thermal mass catchers. So they would line so they would have these long structures. And they would line the back of them with these fish tanks. And here they had earth and plants growing. And they decided, well, sun hits the earth and stores the heat, sun hits the water and stores the heat and releases it. Well, why not just live right back here so I can always be right there to take care of my plants, my fish, and well, hey, I really don't need energy. I really don't need heating. Now Mike saw this and said, well, all of a sudden there's all this trash. And all of these news companies and media companies starting all this trash everywhere. It's accumulating. There's an island of the trash kilometers wide in the Pacific Ocean right now. And so he said, well, wait, I can take this and I can make it better. I can start using old tires, bottles, and cans with the same exact kind of structure. And over 40 years developing it, he brought out the Earthship. Sadly, he's making people pay for it. But that's all right. Because there's plenty of people that aren't making people pay for it. They want to share the knowledge, the resources that will come and help you build it for free. And they did a lot of interesting designs for the bioshelters. There's a design called the Greenway, which is basically a plastic wrapped dome. We've all seen the greenhouses in the fields here, there's plastic wrapped domes. We'll say we do that and it stretches on for a kilometer or so, just one, snaking its way around a hillside or something. Now all of a sudden, my bees really don't need to overwinter that much. Now all of a sudden my bees have forage all year long. I get less death, even though death is a good thing. It's survival of the fittest in the beehive, as you know, brings out the best of us. But this was a really interesting design, and they have a lot of different designs. They studied it a lot. They started out with a geodesic dome covered with old trash bags, and they put one of those children's pools that you inflate and fill up with water. They put one on the inside, and just to see what would happen. And started growing plants in there, and that evolved and evolved and evolved. Until its final evolution for now is the Earthship. Questions?